Morgan Aquino Garcia, 232.5. Now Morgan, a bit of a big game hunter in the past. He's pulled off upsets, hit as high as 715, and if he could bring that package here today, he will push Jonathan right to the limit. It might even surpass him. It is Garcia versus Garcia here in the 66s. Let's see how 232.5 moves. Moves smooth there.
Yeah, a bit of a speed wobble at the top there. And 2-1, a good lift. Garcia been dealing with injuries. He did make that 715 total, I believe, back in 2022.
It's been a bit.
Yeah, he put up 675 at Raleigh. He came 4th at Nationals last year, but we don't know the kind of package he's put together for today. It's exciting to say the least.
Downs 237.5 for Morgan, and it's got to be said, he's not going to get to his old personal best, pacing just a 5-kilo jump.
Yeah, like we said, that 715 was from 2022, and he's got one of the bigger pulls in the class, bigger than Jonathan Garcia, so wants to conserve some energy if he can for deadlifts, but losing out, of course, in some kilos in squat with the jumps. Snappy at the top. I just want to wait for the referee lights there.
2-1, it's good, so we're getting close, and
this is the hip we saw the red light from, and I was a little bit worried about this hip, Ryan.
Yeah, that looks a little high from this angle. And with a 5-kilo jump and work like that, I got to think maybe another 5 kilos.
Have to move like his first or his second.
Whatever the ambitious numbers you had coming in, you go 3 for 3 at the U.S. Nationals. You take what's there on a day. And speaking of Morgan Aquino Garcia, 240.
Yeah, and this was the exact jump we thought would be the smart choice for Morgan to take. You know, especially if he does end up in that battle with Jonathan, with Austin, and, you know, maybe even Avery, then he needs to collect as many kilos as possible. And if he is to miss this, he knows that 237 was his limit today.
Every kilo is going to count, not just for the title, but to get on the podium at this point.
I think moves about the same as second.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But, you know, it's easy to say 2.5 kilos may have been there, because I think it might not have been. You know, it is one of those 50-50 games that you play, and like we said, the 2.5 kilos he's got are more important than the bench press, the biggest of the flight, which is saying something against Jonathan Garcia, with a PR of 182.5. Very conservative opener, considering it's similar to his squats, lower than we anticipated. So it's interesting to see what this play is here, Ryan.
Well, I really don't think it's a play at all. If I'm totally honest, based off the squats, I think the power has diminished for whatever reason, because the squats came down, and I think honestly the bench has just come down as well, and ultimately the total. But let's see how this moves.
Well, listen, we said it before, the 715 was from a little while ago before injuries.
Move smooth. I don't think we're going to see jumps to get him back to his old PR. However, listen, while he may not be in the Morgan Aquino Garcia, 167.5 for a second attempt in the 66-kilo class.
I think actually making a similar jump that he did in his squat, which is not so common. Though a smaller jump than we expected there. Looking to gain those kilos here and bide his time heading into deadlifts, where he certainly has a slight advantage over Jonathan.
That was a bit of work, Amelia.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't expect to see sensibly more than the 170 if the 2.5 was the jump that you made, how that would have looked. Hindsight is 20/20.
It is loaded and ready for Morgan Aquino Garcia.
170 for Morgan Aquino Garcia in the 66 kilo class.
We have just 5 finishers left for the day.
Like the squat, Morgan, quite a bit lower than his previous personal best. May not be on pace to challenge Jonathan for that overall title and the selection onto the national team spot for Worlds, but podium finish and a medal nonetheless, possibly.
Yeah, but it makes it a slightly harder job, especially with Avery and Austin both coming in hot today. And he collects those extra kilos, it seems.
Morgan Aquino Garcia is cruising.
Jumps, the foresight to what their competitors are putting on the bar, what they're totaling. It'll be interesting.
Morgan Aquino Garcia, 262.5 for his opening pole.
Certainly not out the race, but a little way behind Avery and Jonathan as it stands.
And a reminder, this is a national championships. A bronze medal at this level. It's quite the accomplishment, and that was a smooth 262. Looks like it is a little tightness there. The hamstring locking up a little bit on Cole.
And I've got to say, although Cole was not having a bad day by any means, Noah is having the meat of his life on his second attempt, looking to pull for a 700 kilo total, which is a 30 kilo total PR for him should he make it.
Some people can creep up on you, making fast gains from their previous performances. And Morgan Aquino Garcia, 277.5. Morgan under a bit of pressure here by Adrian Kim. If Morgan wants to stay on the podium, he needs to hit this deadlift.
Yeah, not just Adrian, but also have to keep in mind Austin Nikolai, who has got that big pull on him.
Pressure everywhere. Morgan looks like he has some room to spare, but he's going to need more kilos. It's a fight to stay. Just a few years earlier, you wouldn't have been saying that.
Yeah, and with them pushing each other so much at every championships, it really is one of those classes that, you know, you go 8 for 9, that's you off the podium, even if you're a strong contender.
Absolutely. And Morgan Aquino Garcia, 290 kilos for a respectable 687.5.
No, this will give him a 700 kilo
Oh,
total,
700,
which
sorry.
is
He's
still
at 687.5 right now.
Yeah, which still gives him a potential shot of the podium should there be misses.
Because Austin Nikolai weighing slightly less.
Oh, yeah.
No.
And like we said, why wouldn't you go for that?
Absolutely. Force Austin's hand.